We are going to load a shot of espresso for you.
Okay.
And I just tap it to make sure the beans go all the way down. Pressing it. Give it a little spin. Okay, now where you're going to really want to look is up underneath here.
Oh, wow. So this is
a shot of espresso. Look at the crema. The crema is when the machine forces the water in the machine through the oil in the coffee bean, and it creates this emulsification, and that is what that crema is.
We are here at Firefly Valley Farms, and if you couldn't guess by the big bags of coffee there, we're a coffee roaster. There's a coffee roaster in Camdenton, and I'm going to admit, I've been driving by it for like 13 years. I don't know how long you've been here, because I'm going to find that out here in a minute. I didn't even realize you were here. So I'm excited to be here to learn about things like, is dark roast actually a stronger coffee than a light roast? But we're going to save that for later. So I think most of you are going to probably be wrong on that one. First, let me welcome, or thank you for welcoming me in, Dax, Stephanie, the owners of Firefly.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for having.
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
Absolutely. So like I said, there is a coffee roaster in Camdenton. You don't just brew coffee here, make coffee here to sell on the wholesale market. You also serve it here, which we'll show.
Yes.
But tell us the story. Like, what made you decide you wanted to do this?
So our very first coffee shop was in a hospital, and we were huge from day one. And we got to a point where we were serving 500 customers a day, 90 pounds of coffee going out in cups. So it just made sense to, well, if our coffee roaster is charging us this, then we should buy it for that. And yeah, so we started looking into it, and like everything else in life, it looked amazing, but they don't tell you the pitfalls. But all in all, it was the greatest business investment I think I've ever made.
Really?
These roasters are made to last 100 years. They just don't break down. We've had this one right over here. I know maybe it's out of the camera, but we had this for 18 years, and we roasted 85 tons.
Wow.
11 pounds at a time.
Wow.
Do that quick math. Yeah, that's a lot of roasts. Maintenance free.
Really?
Maintenance free, yes.
So why is it sitting on the sidelines?
So 2 reasons. Number one, it has a bearing that is just starting to leak and just broke. And while it was still running and not an integral part of the roast itself, we have wholesale customers that couldn't go 2 weeks without our coffee, right? So we had to be, if we're going to switch out roasters, it had to be seamless.
Yeah.
And so I asked myself, how many weeks away are we from getting a new roaster if this one breaks down? And the answer was far too long. We'll lose all of our customers.
Wow.
8 weeks.
Yeah.
And it ended up taking 12. So I'm glad this thing maintained working for that long and allowed us to get this, which is a serious upgrade.
Really?
Yes.
Well, which we're gonna talk about that. I want to digress for a second because I feel like you skipped something in life.
I did.
You went straight to, we were roasting coffee in a hospital. What made you start to do that?
So we just got a job in a hospital.
Where?
Okay.
Where?
Okay.
Daytona Beach.
Oh,
So sorry.
from Daytona Beach to Camdenton, Missouri. I can see the natural transition there. Okay.
There's a lot. We'll include a map later for all the,
all the traveling.
Yes. we lived in Florida, and I traveled out to Washington State just on a vacation, fell in love with the place, fell in love with the nature, the beauty, the coffee,
Seattle?
the culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It was near to Olympia.
Okay.
And so we moved out there, and I think we were there
About a year.
Yeah, almost a year. And
From Florida
From Florida.
to Washington.
yes.
Literally the other side. You couldn't go any further.
You couldn't
other
go
than Alaska,
further.
I guess.
Sold
Yes.
everything, packed it all up in a
Wow.
Ford
Storage
Ranger
unit.
with a
Just had
camper
this.
shell.
I just wanted her to see it, and I
Yeah.
wanted to live in this beautiful place for as long as I could. Washington State is just, the forests are amazing. Anyway, so we learned about coffee there. We came back to Florida, and we brought the idea with us. We realized on a rainy day in Florida, few and far between they are, man, I sure wish I could have a latte.
Yeah.
There was nowhere
There's
to
no
go.
Starbucks there.
No Starbucks.
How long ago was this?
2000.
Yes.
Jeez. I mean, 25 years ago, but still not
Yes.
not like eons ago.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone said specialty coffee. It's too hot in Florida. No one's gonna buy it.
yeah.
It's
All
not
right.
gonna work.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
a fad.
it's a fad. Yes. And so I was like, well, what did you have this morning? And they were like, well, I had coffee. Oh, okay. All right. Was it good? Where was it from? Who made it? What farm was it from? Is it organic? No. And of course, no. It's all grocery store stuff.
Yeah.
So
Folgers and Maxwell
Folgers and
and all
Maxwell.
that
Yeah.
crap.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So, okay, we're in a hospital. We're roasting coffee. The economy crashed in Florida, and we moved our coffee shop, took our coffee roaster to Hawaii. Again, you didn't think we could go farther than...
Yeah.
Yes.
You couldn't drive the Ford Ranger there.
No, we
No.
couldn't.
Mm-mm. Again, we sold everything we owned.
Right.
Wow.
Packed it all up in 2 suitcases.
Wow.
Yes, and the coffee roaster on a
And the coffee
pallet.
roaster.
Yep. I palletized her up and
And I
sent
feel like
her to
Hawaii probably has a little bit more expertise on coffee.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
So we went from really having a very difficult time just selling our coffee. We were getting price beaten. Hey, how much do you charge? And I'm like, don't you want to try it first?
Yeah.
We can talk about price, but I just wanted
Because
to
you were
try it.
selling it not by the cup.
Mm-mm.
You're selling it
Wholesale.
you're selling it for coffee shops.
5-pound bags. Yes.
Got it.
So, and we went to Hawaii and just ran into the absolute opposite. Oh, you're local? Sure, come on in. I'll order 20 pounds. And I'm like, don't you even want to taste it? Again, but it was
So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
it was an amazing thing. Hawaii as a community is very much like Camdenton because
Very
we all
local driven.
local driven.
It's the first time anyone's ever compared Hawaii to Camdenton, I think.
Hey, so that was our
That's cool.
Camdenton was our next stop after that.
Wow.
So we went truck driving.
Culture shock. Holy cow.
It's different.
Yeah.
The water's a lot different. Yes. Sorry, Lakers. It's not Hawaii.
No, you can't compare it to the ocean.
Sure.
No. So Hawaii, and then we sold that very coffee roaster to pay for truck driving school. And we went to truck driving school and we drove a truck for 5 years. And about three years into it, we bought the roaster back from the guy who had left Hawaii and left the roaster there. So we got the old girl back.
You're like, what'd you do with her?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And he said, I left it just sitting in a warehouse.
Yeah, on the
right.
beach side.
Rusted
Getting
away. So we had
rusty.
to rescue her.
Yeah. Yeah, brought her back here.
Okay, so what led you? So I assume truck driving led you to Camdenton.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so you can't. It was all right. Tell me that story.
Okay, so when we left Hawaii, we left there with two new mottos that no matter what they charge for the food, you're going to buy it. And no matter what they do to the food, you're going to eat it. So we wanted to, after we left Hawaii, we wanted to grow our own food. And watching the truck driving, the national infrastructure of stores versus, you know, the whole supply chain, we realized that we're all food vulnerable and wanted to move to a place where we can grow our own food. And I had a thing in my head for fruit trees. And so we planted a 478 fruit tree orchard in Roach. And it was not.
So how'd you get to Roach, though? How'd you get here?
Okay, that's a great story. Go ahead. You want to?
Well, he was obsessing on getting property that he could grow fruit trees, and so he's constantly, his hobby was, when he had some off time, was to look for property. And so he found some property.
Did you have like a geographic area that you were targeting?
We had a couple of, so we had a couple places that we liked that were good for growing fruit. And our headquarters for the company we worked for was in Joplin. So we came through Missouri a lot down the I-44 corridor.
Got it.
And just fell in love with the Four Seasons and
Missourians as a whole were pretty friendly bunch.
The Midwest. The Midwest in general. Yeah, completely different. Yeah. And the Ozark, this region of Missouri is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. It is.
Cool.
So we looked at some land, and here's the funny part. We went and we bought this land fully paid for before we knew the lake was here.
Oh, wow.
A couple of rubes.
I mean, we knew the lake was here, but we didn't know anything about the commercialism,
which is most people outside the Midwest. So they know the show now. That's
right.
Right. We moved here before the show.
Yes.
I think the people who made the show live here and they don't want people to come here.
Well, I mean, actually, it was shot in Georgia, so it's like, you know,
my brother
it didn't do us any justice.
Lake.
Yeah, Lanier. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are, roasting coffee.
So how many years ago was this? What year did you?
2014 when we bought the property.
Right.
And then 2016 when we started planting the orchard.
And the orchard is growing what?
Apples, peaches, pears, plums, nectarines, apricots, cherries. We had it for 8 years. Did I put everything on it? Plums.
Wow.
Yes.
I didn't even know we had the climate for that stuff.
Well.
Okay. So full disclosure, 100% transparency, not super good at the fruit tree orchard, better at the coffee. So
we focused on where we were strong.
Yes.
Do you still do that?
No, we actually sold our fruit tree orchard in February.
Yes.
Wow.
Allowed us to buy this property.
What's the new owner going to do with it?
He's running the food.
He loves it. We waited.
Is he bringing them like to a local like the Saturday farmers market or anything like that?
Not yet. I think next year he will be.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
You got to let me know when he does that so I can go check him out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are. Fast forward.
All this stuff.
What year did you decide to go all in on coffee? So you were already doing both, but you decided to go all in.
2001. That was our first.
Here in Camdenton.
Right, here in Camdenton. We started off really slow with farmers markets, and we were really, really surprised at the coffee loving culture here. No offense, Camdentons. I tell the story often. I didn't think people would be willing to buy specialty coffee.
Yeah.
But no, they were very knowledgeable and very, very, hey, what do you have that's organic? What do you have that's Rainforest Alliance? And just really knew.
They know their stuff.
They know their stuff. And it's because shout out to Kenny at Omega, who came here in 97 and really just trained the entire area.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I would say one thing, if you obviously you're already watching this video, you're familiar with the Ozarks by now. Camdenton is like kind of the redheaded stepchild of the big towns. I mean, definitely compared to Sunrise, Osage, and Lake Ozark. Maybe Laurie's more of a stepchild, but Camdenton's where I would say more locals are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there's also, like, per capita, more damn coffee shops within like a 1 mile radius. It blows my mind.
I believe last count, I think there was 7.
Is there 7? Yeah, I don't know. I can think of like 5 off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're just within almost a stone's throw of the square,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we got here, Buffalo was the only one was here.
And Buffalo's pretty new.
Yeah.
The new owner, I think she's been there
And
a year.
Sip's been there for a while. Then Scooter's now here. Then there's another bakery. And
Cafe and Joy. There's the bakery.
Oh my God.
Brewed Awakenings.
Brewed Awakenings.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then there's even one down in the Lucky Leprechaun.
I don't even know it. Wow.
Yeah. They're all over the
That's
place.
fascinating.
Yes.
Okay, carry on.
So the farmers market really gave us a great leaping off point to make a name for ourselves. And it took a long process of working jobs, selling the coffee, and just, paying our bills. And so we decided when we put our house up for sale, we were told, oh yeah, you better know where you're going to be. You better go have a place for all this stuff. And again, if you remember previously in the story, we have wholesale customers that cannot go. There cannot be a hiccup in the supply chain.
Otherwise, they're going to go find another.
They're going to go find.
Then you could be screwed.
Absolutely. So we had to open this place and have it fully open and running before we even put our house
sold.
Yes. And
Okay, what year is this?
This was 21, 22. No, yeah, 22.
22.
Okay,
yeah.
We listed it and it sold this year.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it took a really long time to sell, but thank goodness we got the right person that's going to take care of the fruit tree orchard and can allow us to devote our time to this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's really awesome. So I want to now get into the brass tacks, which is the coffee, but I feel like it wouldn't be doing it justice if we sat here. So I feel like we need to go walk around. I want you to kind of walk me through this place because it's not what you expect. Again, I've been driving by it just over my head because it just doesn't scream at me coffee.
It doesn't look out from the outside. It doesn't look like what's on the inside.
It's like a little warehouse.
Until you get in here and then you're like, oh, yes,
and the
they
smell
need a
is
warehouse.
Like, for some, and myself included, it's what I feel like one piece of heaven's going to smell like.
Yes. Yes.
There's going to be a room in heaven that just smells
better.
just like this.
Yeah.
You're going to be living in that one in a second, right? Well, so let's do that. So let's have you walk me around because you have a store here. Right. You've got all these massive bags of beans. You're getting beans from all over the world. You've talked to me about that.
Yes.
We're going to show them the roaster. You're going to give us a little schooling on that. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about just general basic coffee.
Okay.
Okay, because I'm what I would consider probably a mid-range coffee snob, and I say that because I didn't know the question that I asked you that I mentioned in the beginning. I didn't know the answer. I was wrong about that, but I know the difference between a Folgers and a better cup of coffee. But I couldn't probably pick out something super fancy. Just kind of how I am with liquor. Same thing. I can pick out crappy stuff. I know what I like, but I can't really tell the difference between a mid-range bourbon and a $500 bottle of bourbon, right? So, coffee. We've got mild roast, medium roast, dark roast. I guess, you tell me, like, where do you even start as you're educating somebody about coffee?
So the temps they start at 425 and range all the way up to 465. Some roasters go even farther. That's where we stop is 465. That's Vienna or light French roast. Which is a darker roast. Yes, for us, for most of the coffees that we do, that is the point at which you stop tasting the bean and you start tasting only the roast. So you'll taste the charcoaliness, but not the character of the bean, right? So it starts at City and then goes to City Plus and then Full City Plus, and then Vienna. Right. So
what was those words?
City Plus.
Okay.
Full City Plus, and then Vienna.
Okay.
Those are the technical terms.
It's not mild, medium, dark.
Mild or light, medium, dark, and dark. Now there are lighter roasts that people do with cinnamon, and then there are darker, Italian, Spanish, full French, but you're tasting the carbon at that point.
Right.
Got it.
So for our coffee, this coffee right here, as a matter of fact, Sumatran, it goes to all the way to Vienna. We've tried it lighter. in all directions, and it just really does not have any character until it reaches that 460-ish range.
So certain beans from certain regions need to be roasted at a certain temperature to maximize the taste effectively.
Sure.
Yes, to maximize the taste effectively, right? So if you are looking to get a certain flavor out, you would need to stop at a certain time. But really, there's no guide anywhere that lets you know, oh yeah, if you're roasting this coffee, stop it at this time.
Yeah.
It's all experimentation.
Sure.
It's all taste tongue. You know,
you guys ever do classes on this?
We need to. We've talked about it.
I think I'm going to make an executive decision right now, mid-interview, and say that we need to do a second interview and get really deep on the bean and how much it needs to be roasted. And we should bring in some tasters and talk about it. A bunch of novices like me. Right. You guys educate us and we video this thing, because I think that would be fascinating. I think there's enough coffee people, Midwestern coffee people.
I know there is. We started giving little tours. People were eating it up.
That's cool.
They had never seen what coffee looks like before it's roasted, and just were amazed at the differences. I love doing the farmers market when we had 8 different samples. We have 15 different kinds of coffee. And so we would make 8 samples, and I would say, okay, if you get one of all of them, you try all of them, you get the world, the world traveler tag, and so you just went around the world and you didn't even need a passport. But I like, at that point, after they've tried all the different coffees and noticed differences in every single one, say, that was all one plant. It's just one plant.
But grown in different soils.
Grown in different soils.
And then roasted at different temperatures.
And roasted at different, it's almost like music in its endless possibilities.
So we're gonna save this conversation because we're gonna do a second one. If you guys are okay with it.
Yeah.
I wanna do that. I wanna make this about the store, about what you are. I have a question though. I'm gonna mid-random question. I didn't preface this. Why does Starbucks coffee taste the way that it does?
Okay. Because they use cheaper coffees, fillers, and that's why they take them so dark, so that you don't taste the characteristics.
It's almost caramely or something. I don't know what it is, but people love it or hate it.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually like it.
It's what they're used to.
I guess that's it. But it's a very distinct flavor.
It is
from
distinct.
pretty much anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so the distinctiveness is that they're using cheaper stuff.
I mean, presumably. Oh, okay. So
I'm pretty sure they're not going to watch this and
they're not going to sue. Oh, so in theory,
I want your opinion.
My opinion is the more expensive the bean, the lighter you want to roast it, because you want to get the most flavor out.
Oh.
Now, some coffees, like the Sumatran, have to go to a certain temp to, achieve that flavor. But if you go past Vienna, you're not tasting the bean, you're tasting the roast, and it's like well done beef. Ew.
Which ruins the steak.
Yes.
Huh.
Yes.
Interesting.
Well
done
beef.
I mean, you can do a filet well done and overcook it.
Of course.
Absolutely. I think the thing with Starbucks is they used to be really good. Back in the mid-90s, they were delicious.
Before they went massive.
And then when they went massive, I think it just, somebody in some office says we can save 3 pennies on this coffee, and then
which makes a difference on a million cups.
On a million cups a week.
Now, I guess on the other hand, as you mentioned that though, they are selling it for mass. So they're selling it to a novice drinker, and that's what, it's almost like they created the culture. They created the taste.
They did. Starbucks is not our enemy. You know what our enemy is? Our enemy is Folgers, and people that think Folgers is
good. Yeah.
Really good.
I can tell a difference on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Well, let's save this deeper conversation for the next interview, because I want to do that. Let's give them a tour. Let's walk through the store, show them the roaster, and then at the end we're gonna answer the $1 million question of, is dark roast a stronger caffeine level? Is it gonna hit you harder than a light roast? That's the question, but we're going to save it for the end.
Okay.
Whether you are looking to buy, sell, rent, invest, vacation, or pretty much do anything at the Lake of the Ozarks, we've got you covered. Just shoot me a message at this number and I will make sure to get you connected to the right people for the job and make sure that your experience or your life at the Lake of the Ozarks is an incredible one.
So what machine is this here?
This is the Nitro Brew.
So they'll go up.
All right, Dax, so we are in the entrance to the store here, correct? Now show us, you have a store.
Yes.
Show us what you got here.
Okay. So all this is just display. Coffee swag is kind of my hobby.
Coffee
if you will.
swag. I've never heard that term before.
Okay, so it's our tiny little store, but we packed as much as we could in here. So we have our Monin syrups. They're in alphabetical order. Then we have our specials over here that are not in alphabetical
Okay, so
order.
if somebody's buying these syrups, this is something that they're using for flavoring their coffee?
Yes. Or making, like you wouldn't put dragon fruit in a coffee, you would make a soda out of that.
Yeah, so that's kind of like an energy drink.
Yes. Well, it's like a sweet soda.
Okay.
Now, speaking of energy drink, we don't have them in here, but we do have energy drinks here, and they're
We'll
amazing.
have to show me that. Okay. What else we got in here?
So we have fruit smoothie mix. Dr. Smoothie is one of our greatest brands. We love it. It's just pure crushed fruit. That's all it is. Beautiful.
So none of the garbage you're getting
fillers,
in the
right.
grocery store.
So we have Ghirardelli and Hollander sauces.
Sauces.
Right. So these are syrups.
Okay.
And these are sauces.
Gotcha. All right.
It's a gotta have it for everyone that likes caramel. Pumpkin sauce.
Oh, it's almost that time of year.
Yes. It's almost chai time. Chai is the perfect fall.
At the time that this releases, it will officially be pumpkin and chai time. So.
Perfect. And so we have local products from Missouri, local honey, local infused honey, various coffee makers, the AeroPress, which is espresso type coffee without electricity. So you just add hot water to it, and it's great for camping.
Camping, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
So we have our coffee makers over here in containers. And then we have French press carafes.
Those are fancy.
Yes. And we have fair trade wooden cups, African wooden cups, Acacia wood.
Does that make coffee taste different or something?
No, but it's really cool.
I would agree. It is cool.
Super cool. And then we have cold brew makers here. So you can make cold brew like we make here at home. And maybe we'll save this for our, this is a Turkish coffee maker. And we will have to illustrate that to you later.
Yes.
Yes.
I like that one. Okay, cool. And then, of course, most importantly, the coffee beans behind you.
Yes. Last but most certainly
So
not least.
are these whole bean?
Yes. Every coffee in here is whole bean until you request for it to be ground.
Oh,
and so
I could buy this bag right here and say, but I want it ground.
Yes.
And you'll grind it for me.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Custom. And since you come to the warehouse, you get the warehouse seal, right?
Yeah.
So light roast, light to medium roast is on the bottom shelf, and then medium dark to dark is on the top.
Awesome.
So as you'll notice, it's a little empty. We have more in the incubator real quick. So after you roast coffee, you have to wait 48 hours for it to degas before you can drink it.
And then, of course, this is your swag.
Yes. This is made by a local potter in
Really?
Yes, Climax Springs. And
that's cool.
Yes, he makes just the finest mugs. Really neat guy.
All right, take us out to where all the magic happens.
Okay. So you come in here, and this is something that we pride ourselves on. We always have coffee here for you to try. Try it before you buy it. And grab yourself a sample cup when you come in here. And they're always oriented lightest to darkest. So just for our previous conversation, this was roasted at Full City, and this is roasted at Vienna.
Okay.
So this is a medium roast, and this is the dark roast.
Got it. Now, I want to ask you something. You mentioned Kenny.
Yes.
He's right here. Tell our audience who doesn't know who Kenny is that story.
Okay, so Kenny actually went to the same coffee roasting school that we did, and he came to Lori in 1997 and just pioneered the specialty coffee business here at the lake. And sadly, he passed away last year. And we're still feeling the loss in the community. He was a great guy.
So he's kind of like the coffee OG of Camdenton.
OG, yes.
Awesome. All right, let's carry on.
Okay.
Glad we got to tell that.
So right over here you can get your drink. This is our tasting kitchen.
This is where you make. This is where you're pouring.
Yep.
You got a tapper.
Got a tapper.
Tell me what that tapper is.
So this makes a nitro cold brew. It makes our homemade cold brew, runs it through the Nitrogenator 2000, and comes out the nitro brew, and voila.
Nitro.
Super
So
smooth.
somebody doesn't know what nitro is. Explain that.
Okay, so it infuses the coffee with air molecules, and it gives it this creamy head and texture, and really kind of strips the coffee of all of its bitterness and just brings out all the good coffee flavors that you want to taste.
Nitro stronger?
It makes you feel like cold brew is stronger. Nitro itself is not.
Really? Cold brew coffee stronger than hot.
Yes, that is the best bang for your buck is cold brew. 1 pound
For the sake of caffeine.
for the sake of caffeine and antioxidants.
Really?
Yes. So, because it's cold brew. So we don't run hot water through it. We let it soak in cold water for 48 hours, and it just gets everything out of the coffee.
Same effect as like a vegetable. You're going to get more nutrients by eating it before you cook it.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
I guess it makes sense. I guess a coffee bean is maybe a vegetable. Is it a vegetable?
It is a seed.
Ah,
It's a seed.
interesting.
Most people think it's a fruit, but it's a seed.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's
that's
a
true. I
seed.
guess so. Yeah. Okay. And then over here we've got the little espresso.
We got the espresso machine. Okay, so we are going to load a shot of espresso for you.
Okay.
And I just tap it to make sure the beans go all the way down. Pressing it. Give it a little
magical.
spin. Okay, now where you're gonna really want to look is up underneath here.
Oh, wow. So this is
This is a shot of espresso.
shot of espresso.
Look at the crema. The crema is when the machine forces the water in the machine through the oil in the coffee bean, and it creates this emulsification, and that is what that crema is.
Magical.
Magical.
Oh, damn, that's good.
And it is strong, but it's not supposed to pull your tongue out and
Yeah.
punch it. You know what I mean? You shouldn't recoil from the bitterness.
Yeah.
It should be strong. But yeah.
That's good. All right, let's
Okay.
now that we've got our energy,
Yes.
take me through the rest of the shop here.
Okay. So I'm gonna take a little shortcut through here. And back to
Well, now you mentioned the Lotus. That was not in the store.
I did not. Yes.
And the Lotus is effectively the energy drinks, correct?
Yes. So Lotus has two categories. It has the fruit fusion, which is no caffeine, no energy, just a nice fruit for smoothies and drinks. And but the energy, red, white, and blue, Lotus Plant Energy, You add it to any flavor. It's a mild flavor, so you can add whatever flavor you want. And with over 50 Monin syrup flavors, we can make
Pretty much
almost
anything.
unlimited.
So this is, I would say, probably a much more healthy energy drink than a Red Bull.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it uses green cascara coffee energy caffeine. So that cascara is the coffee cherry and the green coffee bean. So there's no added carcinogens from roasting it. They take the green caffeine out of the bean. It has lotus flower energy, B vitamins. It balances your hormones. So it gives you that nice euphoric energy without the crash on the end.
Notice we've now talked about Starbucks and Red Bull.
Yes.
All right, Dax. Now we're here in I would call probably the most glorious section of this place, which is where the beans are.
This is always the fun part, is picking out these coffees off of all the lists of all the coffees in the world. And so they differ so greatly. So let's start with Indian Monsoon Malabar. This coffee, you'll notice it has a bleachiness to it, and not much of a smell. They take the coffee cherries, they dry them on sun patios during the monsoon season in India. And so it takes on the characteristics of the jungle, like a musty jungle, spicy wood flavor. Interesting, very interesting coffee, very different. It goes all the way to dark roast because it can handle it, and it's got a kind of a simple flavor that is just brought out when you take it all the way to Vienna. Now this is Tanzanian pea berry. Probably it's called pea berry because you may or may not have noticed that the beans are smaller. So instead of 2 seeds like this in a cherry, it only makes 1. So 2 reasons why that's great is all the flavor of 2 beans is now into 1 bean, and it rolls around the round roasting drum perfectly. So you get even roasting, no problems at all. It's beautiful flavor. Kenya pea berry, highly sought after.
And that was from what country?
Kenya.
Yes. Okay, so we've been in India, now Africa. Where are we going next?
Okay, so this is Honduras, right, Steph? Yeah, that's Honduras. Now you see how super green
So now
that
we're in
is.
Central America.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it has a smell that I swear smells like peppers.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
So this is the coffee that we use for our cold brew. It is a nice mild coffee. This is a coffee that no one would ever complain and say, "Oh, this is too strong," or it's got too much coffee flavor. No, it's a nice mild, medium coffee. And then we use it in our cold brew, and I think it really, really shines at the cold brew. But as a regular coffee, it's great too. We have a coffee shop that's all they use. And this particular one is fair trade, organic, and fully women produced. So the women producers is very important to us. They are a specialty group in the coffee industry, and they're just a great story of women trying to, after wars and after divorces and after, various other calamities in their life, they have come together and joined together with other women in such case and just created this dream. And so whenever you see something like women produce tags, they get all that extra money, and that goes straight to them.
Yeah.
And men don't work there.
That's cool. That's good to know. Okay, carry on.
Okay.
Next.
So I got a little lost on
That's
that
okay.
one.
No.
Okay. So this one's really different. Now the beans might not look too much different. They have a reddish tint to them, and that is because in this process, this is the black diamond process, they leave part of the coffee cherry, the fuselage, on there and allow it to ferment for 30 days, and then they dry it. And so it gets just a fruity, boozy, smell.
Did you say boozy?
Boozy,
Really?
yes, boozy, fruity, yes, smell,
And this one is from Costa Rica.
yes.
Fermented coffee.
Interesting. Yeah.
So it's funny. We've had a lot of people say that tastes a lot like whiskey. It has whiskey notes
I can
to
see that.
it.
Yeah.
And then you add a little bit of sugar to it, and it brings all that fruit right back to the front.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. All right, Steph, what did you have over here?
Oh, I was.
Oh, Sumatra.
She's gotten to work is what she's doing. So what's going on over here?
We are doing our secret espresso blend.
Secret
I cannot
espresso.
tell you.
blend. If you told me, you'd have to kill me.
Well, we would grind you up with the rest of the coffee.
That would get for a different blend, different flavor.
So she is weighing out the coffee because it's super important to the roaster runs on particular batch sizes. As you can well imagine, full power isn't good for smaller roasts as it is for big roasts. So weighing it out allows us to be more precise with our analysis of this roast versus last roast.
It's quite the machinery here. So first things I do want to say is that if you come in here, they have a bunch of maps here that show all of the regions and countries that you have beans from. And do you know how many different countries you guys are bringing beans in from?
Yes, we have 15.
15 countries
15
from
different
all over the
countries.
world. Yes. Literally.
Yes.
I mean, you're going from Indonesia to India to Africa to South America to Central America, literally everywhere.
Yeah. Yes. North America too with Mexico coffee. So
Really?
yeah. Yeah. I love the variety that we can get through Cafe Imports. They do all the hard work for us. They grade the coffee, and if it doesn't meet a certain standard, it's not even on our list.
Really?
So they're a great partner to have when picking out good quality coffees to roast.
Yep.
So, okay, this is our roaster. So the green coffee goes up top, and whenever the roaster is ready at the right temp, I drop it, and it rolls around for a predetermined amount of time. And then when it hits a certain temp, like it needs to stop, I let it out. And then the cooling tray cools it down as fast as possible, because once it's done cooking, we want it to stop cooking.
So that makes sense. So once you get to the right temperature, you've got to quickly cool it.
You got to quickly
because
cool it.
you nailed it basically.
Right. So this is the interesting part about this is a sampler I can get out at any time
Oh, wow.
during the roasting process. This really, really helps our experimentation as well as our theorizing on new roast profiles for new coffees. Because if I'm looking over here at the temp and I pull this out, oh wow, I smell a flowery smell or I smell a nutty smell. I want to stop it at that point and because that's where it's at.
Yeah.
The rest of the time you just smell the roasting process, maybe a little bit of the roasting bean. It really is an amazing smell. It's really the coolest part of my job, actually.
I love it.
And then we come over here, and this is our bag doser, and we put the beans up top, and we can range from 1 pound to a half pound to 3/4 of a pound right here, and it just comes out the.
What are you selling majority of?
So we sell here in our store 1 pound.
Okay.
1 pound. It does take a little bit of getting used to because most coffee customers are not used to paying for a full pound of coffee. Most of the coffee bags in the store are 10, 12, and 14 ounces. And so, of course, the prices are lower. You come in here and you see my prices. They may look higher, but you get a full pound.
Yeah.
So, but in Hy-Vee, we sell 12-ounce bag.
Okay.
So this really helps us out a lot. Our scale. And then when we need coffee ground,
Okay.
this is the custom grinder.
Yep.
And this helps us make our own K-cups. This is our K-Cup
you
doser.
make your own K-Cups, so people can get
Yes.
K-Cups here. Okay, cool.
Yes, let me show you one of these K-Cups. They're not just pure plastic. They have an actual filter in it,
Yeah, sure enough.
which really we have found, coupled with our coffee and our grind, gives you more of a pour-over experience, which is far different from your typical
wow, that's
K-Cup
cool.
experience.
Okay, yeah. Guys, this has been incredible. I'm now super stoked for the number 2 interview where we're going to go much deeper on coffee. But can you tell the audience, like, where are you? How can they get in touch with you? Where can they find you on social? Give me all the goods.
Okay, so we are half mile down from the square on South Business 5. We're at 527 South Business 5 right here in sunny Camdenton. Our Facebook page is
Facebook.com/FVFMO.
FVFMO is the
Firefly
name.
Valley
Got it.
Farms.
Looking for Firefly Valley Farms coffee roasters, basically.
and our website is www.fireflyvalleyfarms.com.
And if somebody wanted to call,
573-836-3161.
this is awesome. I'm so glad that we got to share this with the Ozarks region, and I can't wait to set up the next interview. Thank you guys for having us, and let's go drink some coffee and get all jazzed up.
Yeah.
Let's do all the
it.
things.